Welcome back to the vlog and welcome back to Papua New Guinea. We're out here at Sino today, heading back to Wewak. It's my last flight of the day. So let's go ahead and get started and get on our way. Alright, igniter's on, fuel pump is on, everything is back. Fuel is on and low start. I just shut down a few minutes ago, so typically I'd let my NG come up over 14 and let my ITT drop below 200 before introducing the fuel, but it was cooled off quick enough. I'm watching the ITT right now as it's coming up, the trend of it, and it looks like it's going to be 725 and going back down. Right, you can see all that grass out front. That's why we have our engine inlet into bypass. Let's get it out of feather, and that will help actually some of that
TAWS system test, okay.
Flinging all around. Alright, 105 degrees in the cockpit today. Ugh, that's hot. Alright, fuel caps and selectors are good. Controls is good. Turn off Betty for takeoff. Switches and instruments, I'm empty today. I've got 800 pounds of fuel to head back to Wewak, which is my IFR reserves. We're in Zulu today, so I'm going to go here and put my radar into standby. And that will get the gimbals going just so that on takeoff it's not just flapping around inside of it. Flaps are set, indicated, and verified at 20. Head back at 11,000 feet today. It's just a 55-minute flight back. Alright, switches and instruments. We are weight-wise today, 5460, so we're going to rotate at 54 and 63 if we had to come back in for any reason. Dang, 6598 November Tango Zulu taxi. Madang, 6598 November Tango Zulu taxi, Sino Wewak 1 POB.
November Tango Zulu.
I don't know what it is about HF, but if you just say the whole spiel, even though they might not have even heard you, maybe just the latency or how long it actually transmits for, they can hear me. I don't know if you're an HF guy, you can let me know why that is, but it seems every time if you just say your call sign, they don't hear you, but if you say your whole thing, they actually hear you. Alright, trimming aboard. We're going to be, oh, they just mowed it recently. We're going to be 45 knots by that tree up there on the left. Otherwise, pull reverse, heavy braking, flaps up, cut off, pull off, and shut off. After takeoff, pitch for 85, consider PL, consider feather. Probably the left-hand turn to lower to the river, if possible. There's really nowhere out here, it's just full-on jungle. Alright, trimming aboard, ignition. Inlet and lights SAR is done. We are sea level, 36 degrees, so 1470 for 1520. Give it all a million kids here. Ignition, condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses 1470, rotate at 54. Alright, there is 720 on the ITT. There's airspeed alive. There's 40, continuing. There's 50 and 54. There's airborne, just nose over, get my speed back up. And then we'll climb out at 73 knots. That's going to be our best angle of climb, get our most altitude in the shortest amount of distance. We're climbing out at 73 knots and my ITT is at 740. Once I get up to a upper altitude, there's 500 feet. Let's go ahead and start making our turn over towards the river in case we had any problems. We'd be a little bit closer to that instead of just over full-on jungle. So anyways, like I said, this is a 55-minute flight back to Wewak. So I'm just going to go ahead and pitch over now, over 85 knots, go 10 degrees of flaps. Over 90 and climbing 0 degrees, and bring our prop back to kind of the bottom of the N, which is going to give us 2,000 RPM on our prop, our NP. And then we're going to bring our ITT back to 720, and that's going to be our climbing ITT until we get up to 11,000. So when I set my ITT at 720, my torque is fairly high now because I'm nearly at sea level. As I go up, the torque is just going to slowly work its way down, even though the ITT is going to remain the same, right at 720. Same with my propeller RPM. The engine does not do any, there's a gearbox in there, so it does not affect the prop RPM. That's only done by this blue lever right here. All right, let's go ahead and hit heading. Get that going so I can set up autopilot and make my call for Madang. Madang 6598 November Tango Zulu departure.
Madang Zulu, go ahead.
November Tango Zulu departed Sino time 07, tracking 075 on climb 1000, Arkansas May estimate 35.
November Tango Zulu, not above 1000.
All right, we can go ahead and turn our TAWs back on now that we're away from terrain. Definitely turn that off, HF, and we'll just monitor our VHF. Anyways, now that we're out of the pattern area, turn our landing light, bypass our engine inlet back to normal, and our igniters are turned off. And I'll leave my taxi light just on the pulse mode, just because it's an LED and it doesn't really matter. And it just makes me a little bit more visible for some other airplanes. So today we've got broken to scattered, I think starting right here at 3,000 feet all the way up to around 6,000 feet. For the first portion of the flight, actually for probably the whole flight, but we'll be going at 11,000. And I'm expecting the same back in Wewak as well. So right now I'm flying on my heading mode. I'm just now intercepting into my course, so I'm going to hit heading and then nav twice. And if it was not close enough, then it would just continue on the heading until it would connect into my course, but I was close enough, so now the autopilot's just going to connect to the magenta line and actually fly the GPS course. Let's see if this thing is connected now finally for our position here. All right, so we just departed out of Sino. We're in Papua New Guinea, right above Australia, if you're not familiar where we are. And we are starting way out here, and we're heading to Wewak. Like I said, it's just a 55-minute flight. Let's get this thing coordinated because I'm not paying attention. Anyways, I'll keep this going so you guys can follow along. I don't know if you can see this here, but our altimeter setting is flashing. So we have it set up once we go past 7,000 feet. It reminds us that we need to switch our altimeter setting. So when we take off out of Goroka in the morning, we have our local QNH or altimeter setting, and that's at 5,000 feet. So once we climb out past 7,000, then we start getting ready to go into the area QNH or the area altimeter setting. And we just had that set up just as a reminder, so it just flashes and you can always turn it down. But anyways, I'm flying on the area QNH anyways right now, 1010. As you can see, it is absolutely just perfect weather for flying. Super nice, smooth weather today. But like I said, we have broken probably up to 6,000 feet, but after that, there's absolutely nothing. This time of the year, this is our dry season, so pretty much from like sometime in May till sometime in maybe the end of October, November, something like that is our dry season. And we have just incredible weather just about every single day. And then from pretty much November till May, we have pretty much crap weather pretty much every single day. And we have to deal with weather every single day. So I am super thankful that it is this time of the year because I really enjoy flying when it's like this. Super low stress, and you can just enjoy flying for what it is and enjoy looking out at scenery. All right, 1,000 foot to go for 11,000. That's why this little thing is flashing the 11,000 just as we pass through 10,000. Just as a nice little visual reminder, hey, you're only 1,000 foot. In case you don't have your autopilot set to level off, or if you don't have autopilot, just as a reminder. So I don't fly with the autopilot as far as the vertical speed. It doesn't have an airspeed hold. So what I do is I just fly with either my GPS or my heading, and I trim it out for my airspeed. So my climbing airspeed is 115 today, so that's what I've trimmed it out for, so it stays at 115 knots, and it might kind of just sit there and bobble a little bit, but it stays at a constant airspeed, whereas if I were to fly with the vertical speed hold, it would, as you're climbing, the performance of the plane isn't quite as good and it can't quite keep up with, you know, let's say 1100 feet per minute. So then the airspeed is going to start slowly bleeding off as it's trying to hold that 1100 feet per minute. So then you have to keep clicking it down, and it's just an extra inconvenience. So I just fly with my trim, and then once I get within 200 feet, it dings at me. I hit my altitude, select, and my vertical speed together, and now it's going to just now capture my 11,000 feet at a nice, even, flatten out so I don't have to do anything. I am now 50 miles out from Wewak, still 1,000, and getting ready to do my descent here shortly. Let me show you how I'm going to set it up here. I actually already have it set in, but if you have the G1000, you want to do your own descent as well. Hit your flight plan button right here. Hit the cursor and select your altitude that you want to be at your destination. So I put 500 feet in because I'm going to be coming in and landing on runway 10, so I'm just going to enter into a right base and then a final. So I put in 500 feet, and then I'm doing 800 feet down here today, so you can set up here. I put 800 feet per minute, and it puts a top of descent mark right there. So the reason I'm doing 800 feet today, and maybe not 500, for when I don't have passengers, I do have a cold, and we'll see how that handles. It's been pretty good today, but anyways, because it is scattered to broken up here, I'm just going to try to keep my altitude for as long as I can, and then come down a little bit quicker so I can wiggle through the clouds for a less amount of time. Whereas if I came down at 500 feet per minute, I'd have to be going through the clouds a long ways and just have to maneuver a lot more. So it's just a little bit easier if I stay up a little bit higher for a little bit longer and then just head down quickly. So while we are waiting, let me bring up my airport here for Wewak, AYWK. This is for flight if you're wondering. And what we can do is hit our taxiways up here, and that's just going to show the runway. So it's about a mile long, it's flat, it's paved, it's right on the beach nearly. Nothing too special about it. And then up here is our frequency 126.7. So that's just going to be an area. There's no tower here at Wewak. I think there used to be many, many years ago, but since I've been here since 2014, there is no tower.
Number 10 Secretary Traffic Government Foxtrot, Fokker 100, departed 1 for Wewak. We'll be descending from flyover 230, Wewak estimate 0401.
Copy traffic, Alpha November Foxtrot, and confirm his estimate 01, November Tango Zulu.
AFM, by time informed 0401.
November Tango Zulu. Alright, so we've got Alpha November Foxtrot, a Fokker 100, I think, coming from Vanimo. So let me just show you here on the map, it'll be a little bit easier. So Alpha November Foxtrot just departed, well, not just departed, but he departed from Vanimo, way up here. So he's just tracking down the coast. So he's probably about right here at this moment, but we're supposed to be both arriving at Wewak within 1 minute of time. So, okay, so this is how handy our V2 tracker is. My home base was able to send me a message regarding tomorrow's flight, maybe bumping up my Yambai Talk flight tomorrow instead of on Thursday. I'm going to be doing 2 overnights here in Wewak. So when I land, I'm going to give him a quick call, but let me just send him a message now so that he can call the person on the ground here and get all that worked out. Just like that, I can send him a message. Doesn't matter if I have cell coverage, it either picks up cell coverage or it uses satellite. So right now it is using cell data, I believe, because it's flashing, I think. I might be wrong on that. Anyways, pretty cool setup though. Before we had that, we only had HF, and it was a huge pain in the butt to try to get a hold of anybody. Well, just looking out there now, it's actually looking way better than I actually thought it was going to. I was expecting it to be more of a broken along this mountain ridge right here.
Vertical track.
There's Betty letting us know it's time to go down. So, like I was saying, this whole mountain range right in here usually has clouds built up to, yeah, usually you can't get through them. You either go through them or you go underneath of them. and they go all the way down here. But anyways, it's actually a lot better weather today than I was actually expecting it to be. So again, let's hit our vertical speed on our autopilot and turn it down to 800 feet per minute. Probably actually 900. Then I'm going to turn my altitude select here all the way down to my 500 feet. So when I hit my altitude select and my vertical speed, it will level off at that. It's just good habit to get into doing that. But because I turned my altitude select here, it now shows me when I'm actually going to arrive at that specific altitude on this screen, that little cyan arc. 30 miles out, so I'm going to give a quick call and also see if Alpha November Foxtrot's listening in. All stations 126.7 Wewak and Alpha November Foxtrot. Kodiak November Tango Zulu, left 1000 on descent. On the 255 radial, estimating Wewak 58.
Alpha November Foxtrot, copied. November Tango Zulu, we're on the 285 radial and 65 miles, leaving 18,600. We'll limit to 11,000 until we get a bit closer.
November Tango Zulu. We are just 6 minutes out yet to go, so I'm going to go ahead and start up with my checklist here. My selectors are both on, my brakes are good. Our TAWS is, again, actually turn it on for now. Our VREF, we're going to head over to our aux page, be landing estimating at 5170, so 5170, so our landing speed is going to be 62 knots, so I hit my timer reference. Come to my VREF and hit 62 knots. The lights and inlet we will do shortly. Back over here, we'll get a nice bump through this cloud here. Oh, actually a lot smoother than I thought. Okay, so lights and inlet, we'll do landing light on. Pulse light is still, we'll do our engine inlet into bypass here in a minute. We're going a bit fast. We do it under 140, and the reason being is just because the little actuators that move the engine inlet, little bypass like valve thing basically, is we bent it in the years past, we think, from going too fast and actuating it. That's why we do it at 140 knots. Our report, emergency procedure, if we do need to go around, it's power up. It's for 73, 20 degrees, reset, power torque, 740 on the ITT, and maneuvers required. So I'm keeping my power up on this descent. I haven't even adjusted it, so it's still basically at my 700 ITT, basically, coming all the way down. The reason being is...
Tango Zulu, Alpha November Foxtrot on 1267, left 12,500 on descent. Distance is 33 miles on radial 287. We'll be checking overhead at 3000 at time 0401. Request your distance and direction.
November Tango Zulu is 12 miles on the 255 radial, passing 4,400. Circuit 58 will be tracking for a right base for runway 10 Wewak.
Copy that, Alpha November Foxtrot, all over flight 3000.
November Tango Zulu. Like I was saying, I'm just keeping my speed in, just so that I was already scheduled to get there about a minute, maybe 2 minutes before him. He's going to get there at 01, I'm at 58. So rather than just kind of putzing down, I'm trying to keep my speed up, just so I'm not an inconvenience to him, and he's not an inconvenience to me. So he said he's flying overhead at 3,000, and then he'll be entering into a downwind and everything. So I'll just sneak down quickly and enter into it. We're the only two airplanes here, so our report is complete. Our inlet will do here again shortly, like I said. We're at 168 on the indicated for knots. We go up to 182, but I like to keep it a little bit of a buffer in case we have some turbulence or whatever else. I can quickly slow down. But heading 126.7 November Tango Zulu in the circuit. Wewak, cancel SAR.
Tango Zulu, Wewak, starboard, terminated.
November Tango Zulu. All right, SAR is done. We'll throw our harness up. So I'm just going to keep my speed up as much as I can just so that I'm not in his way at all. So I'm at 170 indicated right now, and we're kind of just coming in as a base and final. All stations Wewak, November Tango Zulu, right base, runway 10 Wewak. All right, autopilot is off. And I'll go flight idle and prop forward. As we get down below 140 knots, which we're just now passing, our engine inlet to bypass, prop and harness done, flaps to go, we're below 138, first degrees of flaps, 10 degrees. And below 120 we can do 20 degrees of flaps.
500.
So I'll just probably land around the 500 foot marker, that way I don't have to go heavy into reverse. Otherwise, if you do it 1,000 foot, you have to hit heavy reverse if you want to stop at the first taxiway, which is the only taxiway at this time. All right, so I can come in at 62 knots at the slowest. I don't really need to. Got 5 knots of wind off my
All stations Wewak Alpha November Foxtrot, 10 miles from the northwest, passing 4,500. All stations Wewak.
If we come in at the slowest that we can, I aim for about a plane and a half where I'm aiming at, so that I can touch down in a plane and a half after that. Coming in a little bit faster today, so I'm going to reduce a little bit sooner so that I can down a little bit sooner. Whoops, still landed a little bit before it. Anyways, I'm going to get this guy his local QNH here on the ground. They really like to have that, so all stations Wewak, local QNH 1006, and November Tango Zulu is now clear of the active runway. All stations Wewak.
Thank you, Alpha November Foxtrot.
I still have it in high idle right now as I am taxiing. I normally would taxi in low idle, but the fuel guy doesn't ever hear us come in because our plane is really quiet if we have it in low idle, so I keep it in high idle and heavy beta so that the fuel guy can actually hear me pull up. Otherwise he'll never come, even though you could call him and say, hey, I'm landing in 1 minute. If he doesn't hear you, then he doesn't come. So anyways, that's why I'm doing that. And a few of you asked, hey, I'm using this in the simulator and I just can't seem to taxi slow enough. Taxi in low idle and then just keep it in beta if it's still going too fast. And that's going to basically change the pitch on the prop so that it's not pulling you along. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to join along on this flight. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you do like this content, hit that subscribe button now and notification bell. I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturdays. So anyways, thank you guys for taking the time to watch and have a good one.